Faith, the mechanism by which we free God's hand to work miracles and wonders in our personal circumstances, most of which remains unseen and unheard when executed, but are then evident and appreciated with the benefit of hindsight. Faith is power rooted in unshakable belief and conviction, and is a force superior to anything to be found in nature. In fact, the very forces of nature can be subjected to or altered by the power of faith, made to reverse course or suspended for a period of time. But the dynamic nature of faith means it's also a gift, where, like a mustard seed that is planted in tilled soil and nurtured by the Lord of the harvest with pruning, sunshine, and rain, it flourishes and becomes a mighty tree that provides shelter and refuge. When God called Abraham to sojourn in Canaan, he said to him, "Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee." However, we see that throughout all his journeys, his nephew Lot was with him. It could be assumed that Lot was more like a son to Abram, having lost his father at a relatively young age, and Abram, having no children of his own, would have likely regarded him as such, but God commanding him to leave his kin behind included Lot. An opportunity for God to set Abraham further apart from his kin unto the purpose to which he called him presented itself shortly after they returned to Canaan, when a dispute between their herdsmen over grazing ground saw him and Lot agree to part ways. Abram and his nephew Lot parting ways also presented God with an opportunity to focus his understanding of the magnitude of the power behind his calling. As we saw earlier in Egypt, Abram presumed that his safety was at the mercy of a godless people. That was why he conspired with Sarah to tell anyone asking the nature of their relationship they were merely brother and sister, out of fear for his safety. But God would prove to Abraham that his safety was entirely in his hand and he need not fear anything. It was when Lot was caught up in regional conflict and the victorious alliance of kings took him and his household captives. And Abram, hearing about it, then pursued and resoundingly defeated them to set Lot, his household, and all other captives free. After the defeat of the alliance of kings, God's interaction with Abram rose to another level. God then began revealing specifics about his calling, especially after having addressed Abram's concern that his chief servant was in line to become his sole heir. God told him that would not be the case, for his heir would be his own flesh and blood. Perhaps this then emboldened Abraham to ask when he had actually received the land promised, to which God replied that his inheritance will be in debt, not in his lifetime. In fact, God revealed it would be more than 400 years in the future when the iniquities of the 10 peoples and nations whose land Abram will inherit would have reached the point where it was necessary to displace them from the region that was special to God. After God revealed to Abram that his legacy would be passed on to his own flesh and blood, the failure of Sarai giving birth within the expected time frame led both of them to conclude that perhaps it was God's intent to use another woman's biology for his heir. Therefore, both agreed Abram would, in line with the practices of the day, take their maid Hagar as a concubine, who would then play the role of surrogate to Sarai, so they could then have the heir whom God promised would be born to inherit Abram's legacy. However, while this made perfect sense to both of them, things didn't turn out as they hoped. Once Hagar realized she now had a central role in Abram's household, mother of his child, her contempt and lack of respect for Sarah would soon reach boiling point.